Hey y'all, my name's Katie if you don't already know me, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Oh, number 9. Can y'all believe it? We're already getting to the end. Well, the main aspects of this story. I promise to film videos in the future to cover up all the little gaps and all the extra little big stories that I didn't include in these. Believe it or not, I tried to make this in as less videos as humanly possible for me without taking out anything that I felt that was important or anything that would make you, not really understand me and how those choices came about and where I was at the time to make those choices or for those things to happen to me. Oh, before I get into it, I've had a lot of people ask me how to donate to my channel and cause. So I have linked my PayPal and Cash App down below. So last time we were here, we were talking about how I started escorting and doing the sugar baby thing on my own, so to speak. And when Chris and I's situation, I can't even really call it a relationship, but when our situation started coming to a head. So in this video, I'm going to talk about where I just came from, opportunities that were presented to me, situations I was seeking, and how I was trying to get sober again and again. Oh, before I get into it, one more thing. Again, some of you already know that Matt does come into the picture here soon. Um, so we have decided to do a Q&A for you guys. So between now and my last video on this, which there will be 10 altogether, so there'll be one more after this, and then we're going to prepare for the Q&A. So we're going to be answering y'all's questions. You can get a hold of us on Twitter, Facebook, email, a whole nine. I really need to remake an Instagram because the one I have I got blocked out of, and I mean I was a dope addict. I didn't care about social media like that. So yeah, but you guys can send us your questions and we're answering everything, no filter. So make sure your question gets seen. Don't timestamp me, y'all. You better not do it. Don't do it. I've seen people timestamp me and then they like delete the comments. I've seen it. But we're gonna get into it right now, I promise. So where I left off was I had been coming to the conclusion that I didn't want to continue to escort. Before I speak on any more of this, I do want to say that drugs do a lot to a person. They make you a different person. I don't hold a grudge against him for anything. I know what drugs do to people. I mean, it was happening to me. I don't hold any ill will or hate towards him. So if you're watching this, like I have a feeling you are. This is just where I was at the time and what happened from my perspective. It is not, I'm not out to get you. I'm not out to nothing. I have protected your identity as long as everyone else is in this story. Know that I wish you the best. I hold no ill will towards you, but I'm gonna tell the truth. Chris and I had a heated argument about me wanting to quit escorting. I even remember who I seen that day. I remember getting done for the day and Chris came in after somebody left and I had gotten on the bed and I was just laying there. I remember him coming into the bed with me and just holding me. And I know I haven't really gone into detail about these things, but that wasn't part of our relationship. We didn't hold each other. We didn't sleep together. We were just partners. We just got high together. I remember him laying there holding me and apologizing to me. And he expected me to just forgive him and be done with it. I just couldn't. And I remember him getting a little frustrated. And I was like, you can't really be mad if I'm not ready to forgive you. He was like, I know you need time. And we just kind of let that be that because, hell, we're together all the time. Time's on our side. Or so we thought. So the next morning, we wake up and just like any other morning, we call the dope man. We're waiting on them, and I remember I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get up and start some laundry. We were staying in like one of those weekly stay things, so I went downstairs because we had like that laundromat facility, but it didn't take quarters because you couldn't use it if you didn't live there. And when you live there, they would give you, like a debit card, but it was a laundry card. And you would reload it, but you could only load it in the office. So I went to the office to load it. Nobody was there, but there was a gentleman standing in front of a big, oh God, I can't remember if it was like a Chevy or a Dodge. Like it was a brand new truck, y'all, like to the year. And I'm thinking, who in the world is driving a brand new 2018, whatever the fuck, and living here? Like, ain't no way. So I knew he didn't live there, right? And I had said something to him like, oh, you might want to come back because, sometimes they take a while. And he was like, oh, it's okay. Do you know how to get a hold of them? I was like, yeah, I can give you the number. Because the manager who ran him, I had his cell phone number. So I gave it to him. And I called him too myself. And I was like, hey, I need to load some money on here, yada, yada, yada. So I didn't think too much of it. I thought it was really odd. And when I was like kind of trying to push for information, I remember he just talked to me about the weather. And I was like, okay, like you're one of those. Whatever. Went about my business, right? I went to the room, started laundry, whatever. So time goes by, we're waiting on the dope man to come, and I'm sitting on the bed and I'm just coloring. Oh, y'all, I just got really tired all of a sudden. Like it just hit me like a wave. Okay, so I'm coloring, and I remember calling the dough man to see where he was, and he said he was close. We're sitting in there, and next thing I know, I hear him at the door, and I remember I just kind of froze, and I didn't move, and neither did Chris, and we just looked at each other. And then there was another set of hard banging, knocking on the door. I look at him and I get up and he's like, don't open the door. Don't open the door. If y'all have never had like run-ins with the police or never like been on dope or done some shit you shouldn't have been doing, then you don't know that like when a cop knocks on the door, you automatically know it's the police. Like people joke and say, oh, you knock like the police. But no, when the police knocks, I think they go to fucking knocking school, y'all, because every cop knocks the exact same way. It's just a heavy way of knocking like no other. I mean, nobody but a cop does it, I promise you that. So I go to the door and I'm already thinking, like, I know it's the police. He knows it's the police, but I need to look and see how many are out there. And I look and I see that he's in clothes with a vest on. And I'm like, wait, it's not the police. And I look a little harder and I'm looking at the people. And I'm like, oh shit, y'all. Was the DEA undercover. So now I'm really flipping shit. Like, why the fuck is drug task force at my door? Chris is like, don't you open that door. Don't you fucking open that door. Now, what I know, and Chris knows, that the officer on the other side of the door doesn't know, is that he has warrants. They've been looking for him for a hot minute. He's like, don't you open that door. And I've never seen him more serious and pissed. And I'm like, I have to. I have to. He's like, you don't have to. You can pretend not to be here. And in my mind, what he doesn't know that I know is that I was downstairs. That the guy knocking on the door was the guy that was downstairs waiting at the office, asking for the number to call for the manager. So he knows I'm in here. He literally watched me walk up here. I know I have to open the door. And he was like, you don't have to. I know I have to open the door. He's like, I'm gonna hide. Like hide. And I'm trying to kind of wait on him, watching him like kind of try to hide as he's like steadily banging on the door. Ugh, God. Mm. So I finally open the door and I try to crack it. And as I do, the officer pushes it open. I say, can I help you? He said, yes, ma'am. We had a call from an anonymous tip. Somebody basically told us that you were slinging dope in here like Pablo Escobar. The cop literally said that to me. And I was like, no. No, I'm not. I don't sell drugs. He's like, okay, well, do you mind if I come in here and check? I'm like, sure. I mean, why not? So it's him and one other cop that I couldn't see was with him. They were both undercover in plain clothes with their little DEA vest on. So I let him in. And, I'm not really concerned at this point. They start asking for our information and stuff. And then Chris gives a fake name. They ask him for his social. He said he doesn't know it. Who do you know that's 30 years old and doesn't know their social? Lord have mercy. He gave it his best shot, I will say. I remember sitting there as they were doing it thinking, man, I hope he goes to jail. And it wasn't because I didn't care about him or didn't want him around. But I didn't want him around like that. Not anymore. I was over it. I was ready for him to go. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks that I called the police to have them come. But I didn't. Never thought about it, honestly. So anyway, the officers find out who he is and call for somebody to come get him and take him to Blackwood, which if you don't know or are from Nashville, it's just the little booking center, really, in Nashville now. And I remember as they're doing this, I watched the dope man walk up the sidewalk, come into my door because there are no cop cars outside. They're undercover. So the dope man has no idea the cops are in my house. Like the smart motherfucker he is, he walks to the door and our door was open as because they were searching everything. And he sees the cops in the room. So he walks as if he's like walking up to the door, and I was the only one that seen him pivot real fast and just walk around like he was leaving. I remember I had to tell them that I was on heroin. They seen that I think I had $500 sitting on the table. So they knew like it was for drugs. They asked me, they were like, is this drug money? And I was like, well, it would have been had y'all had not showed up. Now it's just money. They asked me what I did for work, and I can't even remember what I told them. I told them I was a booking agent. We get to talking, and, they're asking me how much heroin I do every day, and I'm telling them. I wasn't doing cocaine anymore at this point. Be oh, I forgot to tell that story. That'll be a story for another time. But they're asking me how much heroin I do every day and, this, that, and the third. And they asked me if, who my drug dealer is. I'm not telling them. And what happens next, I never dreamed would happen. The one cop urged the other cop to go outside, and he shuts the door, and it's just me and him in my house or apartment room, whatever. It's just me and him, and he's like, have you ever thought of working with us? And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, being on our side. I said, no, but I thought about it just now, and I think that I'll end up dead. And he was like, why would you say that? I said, what would you want from me anyways? What could I even do for you? He was like, do you think if we busted your drug dealer that would help you get sober? Because before this, I had expressed the fact that I did not want to keep using, but I didn't want to be sick, and it was just a vicious cycle. He was like, do you think if we busted your drug dealer that could help you? I was like, mm. I didn't even answer the question. I just looked at him, and he was like, hear me out. You can work for us. Basically, we just need you to keep in contact with your dealer, do hand-to-hand transactions, wired, where we can see you, and make sure that you get to the big guy. So, you got to keep buying dope since you already buy large quantities, is what he told me. You already buy large quantities, okay? Keep doing that, and we'll slowly up your money at what you're buying every day. Your quantity will go up and up and up. And then you'll finally just hit with a large quantity. And when you do, and you have to go somewhere to get it, we're gonna bust them. And I looked at him. So you want me to continue to do what I'm doing, right? You're gonna give me money to buy dope. Do I get to do the dope without getting arrested? No, I'm playing. You're gonna give me money to get the dope, and then once you get up to the quantity that you want to bust for, you're gonna bust my drug dealer and what, just expect everything to be hunky-dory? And then he told me no, basically a percentage, I'm not gonna get into percentages and numbers that he was throwing at me, of money that was found during the drug bust would be mine. So basically, if they found however many thousands of dollars, that I would get a good chunk of it. And I said, well, what happens to the rest of the money? Because if he's offering that to me, it makes me wonder, what did they do with the drug bust money for real? Does anybody know that? If you do, sound off below because I really want to know what happens with that money, or what do you think happens with that money? Because from some of the things I've heard, it makes me real curious about how much of that money actually gets turned over, if any of it does. I mean, do you ever see somebody pulling out a big bag of evidence money, like, here's $50,000 that we found in a cocaine bust? No, it's just written down somewhere. You never see that money again. I told him no, I can't do it. I can't. Even if I wanted to, it's not worth it to me. In my eyes, because of how long I've been out on these streets, how long I've been homeless, how long I've been on dope, I know more than you do, Mr. Smart DEA man, and I know that that ends in my death. And if I die doing that, I'm just going to be some little junkie that got caught in the crossfire. Nobody's even going to know I was working for you guys, and I went down for a good cause. Fuck all that. So he was like, okay. Well, basically told me he would be in touch with me. Like, be in touch my ass. Can leave me the fuck alone. You know, they didn't confiscate any of my stuff. They didn't take my money. They didn't take any of my paraphernalia. They didn't give me a ticket. They didn't anything. And I thought it was so bizarre. The next day, I get a call from my lawyer. No, I don't want to put his name right here. He's a great lawyer in Nashville, very well known, very respected. He calls me and says, "Hey, I talked to Kyle, and Kyle wanted me to tell you, to make your choice wisely. I would rather you, if you're going to be on any side, be on this side. Everything that Kyle says is 100% legit. You can trust him." Basically telling me that he wasn't a dirty cop or wasn't lying to me or whatever, whatever, whatever. And I said to, it doesn't matter to me what he is. What matters to me is my life. And what y'all failed to realize is that it doesn't matter what close proximity that they're around me. There was just too much open-ended, and I could see why these things go so badly sometimes. You know who would be a good drug enforcement officer? An addict. But you know who would never be one? An addict. I won't say an addict won't ever be a cop because I was arrested by a heroin addict or an ex-heroin addict. But anybody who's really been in the game and really been on the streets like that know the code and know that it ain't no game. That ain't no shit to fuck with. And, at the time, you know, sending my dope band to prison just wasn't on my agenda. Never was. So now I'm in a better but shittier situation. I know that I have to move, but I don't want another weekly stay. I know I can't have any more of my clients come there because the cops had been there and everything because of the traffic coming in and out. Little did I know that the drug bust was going to be a blessing in disguise for me. Chris ended up going to jail and doing some real time, and we split up and never got back together. That gave me my time to work on my sugar daddies and build that up. And that's exactly what I did. And with that money, I was able to get me a car, which I had gotten plenty of rentals, but I never had enough money at once to be able to buy my own car. So I finally bought a car and finally started to save up money, and I was ready to move and buying things for an apartment. I was ready to get furniture and, all this and that. But I was still using. And I knew that I couldn't really carry my drug use on to the next phase in life. But damn it, y'all, I was determined to try. Alright, y'all, so I've gone on long enough in this one. I'm gonna end this one right here, y'all. I can't wait to tell y'all what happens next. Crazy, I just can't sleep. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, but it feels alright. Baby, thinking of you keeps me up all night.